everything right this time. Let's see. Let's see how this works out. Let's see how this shakes loose. Let's turn out the juice and see what shakes. Let's turn out the juice and see what shakes loose. Ah. Nope! Fucker. Didn't work. There's really something going on with Instagram. I'm going to have to do some Googling. I wonder if is it considered faux pas to drink like Gatorade in a glass with ice? Is that like, does that come across too elitist? Dutton, what's up, dude? How's it going? Just getting started here. I got my trail mix and lukewarm room temperature Gatorade. Put that over there. Ethan. Doesn't sound familiar. Who is that? Let me reorganize my desk a little bit here. Let's get that over there. Put you there. You here. Okay. I think we're set up. No, I don't know who that is. It doesn't even sound familiar, actually. I don't know who it is. Okay, let's see. So let's say he joined one of my streams and called me gay. Well, I wish I at least got to see his face before I got to decide if I was into him. Shit. He's all in here passing judgments before I can. Why am I going like a very Forrest Gump gay? It's like, Mom always said life was like a box of chocolates, and if you fuck a man in the ass, sometimes you get a little extra chocolate. The old flag. Oh, because I was using the pride flag. How do you say that and I missed it? Normally I try to make fun of the trolls, but alright. Let's get started. After I finish this trail mix. Oh my god, I'm telling you. Water on a... No! There goes my light. On a really hot day. Oh, it's the shit. Okay, so to start off this stream, I want to cover a foreign apartheid pedophile state run by war criminal Israeli Benjamin Netanyahu. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he has special forces ready if arrested. Vows New York visit. So, this is an apartheid state. A foreign enemy of America is now threatening to attack Americans on American soil if he is arrested. So keep in mind, the people who would arrest him would probably be like the U.S. Marshals, the LA, excuse me, not LA, the NYPD, the FBI, right? People, those are the most likely people to, if this were to happen, which seems unlikely, are the forces that would actually arrest him. So Benjamin Netanyahu, in order to get out of that arrest, what is he going to do? Is he going to shoot those people? Is he going to violently resist? What does this mean? He has special forces ready. Because special forces are typically trained for one thing and one thing only, and that is to shoot and kill. So Benjamin Netanyahu is literally saying he is willing to shoot American soldiers if they are the ones to arrest him. But Israel bad. Oh, we have a trigger mega pedophile. Mel Gillum 462. Thank you so much for being the first little snowflake in my stream. Also, this is for you.
Fuck ICE, kick down the cage. Fuck mega heads, stuck in their rage. Fuck Trump, clown on a stage. We burning the system, setting the blaze. Fuck ICE, they tearing the line.
It really does make sense that Israel is a pedophile, rapist, apartheid state, so MAGA pedophiles like Mel Gillum 462 would support that, you know? Kind of hand in hand. They just kind of scissor each other as their butt-fucking children. Does track. Let me bring this track back. So, again, literally threatening to attack Americans on not only just Americans, but on American soil. We already know they attack Americans in Israel all the time and in the West Bank and in Gaza. They've murdered multiple people in Israel and in Gaza, and now they are threatening to do the same here. Oh, we have another trigger back, a pedophile. Teo Flix K, hey, you seem to like Nazis because I can say that the Holocaust was real and it happened, and there's also a Holocaust happening on Israel against the Palestinians, but you, unfortunately, are a pedophile who can't say the same thing, and also the guy you voted for.
Trump is on the Epstein list. Yes, he is.
You're a pedophile. Anyway, moving on. Boy, it's starting early, Dutton. The MAGA pedos are starting early. A foreign PM warns the United States that he's deployed armed forces on its soil to act against this law and against this law's police and army. So this actually points out a very good logistical fact, which is he's not saying that. It sounds like he's saying these special forces are already in the country. They're already ready to be activated. This is a sleeper terror cell in America right now, and we already know that Israel has conducted assassinations before. They've done it plenty of times. They've done it against Iran. They've done it again against the Palestinians. They've done it against the people of Gaza. So there is absolutely no reason to believe that this war criminal would not do the exact same thing to American soldiers. And, of course, this is paywalled. Fantastic. Israel is under fire. MDA needs your help. What in the fuck kind of... That ad is a whiplash. It's like, please, Israel is under attack. We're being under attack for raping Palestinians. Please give us money. And then it's like, by the way, if you would like to do Tai Chi and learn how to get triceps like mine, you just do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. Wow, that was one hell of an ad transition. Jesus Christ. All right, moving on. So, for example, just to see some of the war crimes and why I call Israel a pedophile state, 2 Israeli female soldiers photographed themselves posing beside a young blindfolded Palestinian detainee who appears to be a minor. Again, these are what appear to be grown women posing with a minor. This is why they are literally a pedophile state. Keep in mind, they rape Palestinian children, they rape Palestinian women all the time in their concentration camps. Yes, Israel is a pedophile state. No different than the White House, unfortunately. The post, which circulated, detainee appears to be a minor and proudly posted the image on Instagram. The post, which circulated widely online and was reviewed by Dropsite News, was uploaded by Israeli soldier Nicole Stelmashvsky? Stelmashvsky? Is that how you pronounce it? As part of a 20-photo carousel containing additional images from her time in Gaza. Her account, at nicole.stel, L-I-G, has since been made private after the photo drew public backlash. The image is the latest in a documented pattern of Israeli soldiers publicly sharing evidence of Palestinian detainees being humiliated or abused. Such conduct violates international humanitarian law, which prohibits the degrading treatment of detainees. Again, this is what our money is going to. Our money is going to support an Israeli pedophile apartheid state that is committing war crimes with our taxpayer dollars. Oh, another trigger mega pedophile! Alma 1981. Hey, you know that you're a pedophile because...
Trump is on the Epstein list. Yes, he is. Trump is on...
Why does it sound like it has the beat to Margaritaville? Almont 1981. Thank you so much for outing yourself as a pedophile. Please don't go anywhere. We have your IP tracked by Antifa HQ, and we will be sending Chris Hansen to your door any moment. Please make sure to answer the knock. If not, we will bust down it and take your pedophile ass to Rikers. Stay tuned. So, we should not be sending our money to this pedophile state. And you can see why we should not be sending our money to this pedophile state, because the Republican pedophiles like Almont 1981 support this pedophile state. And they are, of course, a gang of pedophiles supporting Trump, who is the #1 client in the Epstein files. Now, John Fetterman, who is the who finally got off his knees in front of Benjamin Netanyahu and decided to put on a suit rather than his basketball shorts. Apparently got tired of Benjamin Netanyahu just pulling him down and butt-fucking him. Senator John Fetterman attacks Zedio's Prem Thacker for doing his job as he asked about most Americans agreeing with Zoran Mamdani that Netanyahu should be arrested. Fetterman exposes himself as unhinged and compromised every time he opens his mouth. # arrest Bibi. Again, Netanyahu is a war criminal. He is running a pedophile apartheid state. He is wanted by the ICC on arrest warrants. And Mamdani, correctly, is in the American mainstream wanting the exact same thing that real Americans want, which is to arrest this pedophile apartheid state winner. Why does science need to plead the fifth? Have you asked Donald Trump since he pled the fifth more than anyone else under deposition? Kyle Rittenhouse is a pedophile. That's right, Vinny. Thank you so much for reminding me. Kyle Rittenhouse is also a woman beater. And just like every other MAGA pedophile in this country, I want you to know a couple of things. First of all,
Ice, kick down the cage, fuck mega heads, stuck in their rage. Fuck Trump, clown on a stage, we burning the system, setting the blaze. Fuck.
Hey, Vinny, how's Charlie Kirk? Dead still, right? Vinny, Charlie Kirk is still dead, right? He's still dead, right? Okay, just want to make sure he's still dead. You know he's dead, right? And Rottenhouse was rejected by the USMC. Very, very, very good point. Roswell 420 USB. Are Zionists using vaccines to sterilize Goyim? What in the fuck? Do you guys hear yourselves when you talk? They sterilize our brains via food? I hope that's satire. So this is what Frankenfetterman had to say. He's got to make sure he's cashing those checks in for Daddy. It's a joke? Okay, just making sure. Just making sure. Fair enough.
Oh, Zendio. Oh,
Yes,
yeah, the pro-Hamas.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
You
Just
guys are great, drop site. You know, the pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah.
pro-international law, Senator. But anyways, what did you make of that?
I want to apologize to the Zendio fans. Keep killing the Hamas leadership and also the Iranian too.
On that note, Senator, what did you make? What did you make of? What did?
Breaks hearts and also.
That's okay, Senator. What did you make of the poll that showed Americans supporting arresting Benjamin Netanyahu at a 22-point margin?
I don't know why your network's so pro-Hamas.
I'm asking you about American public opinion, Senator. American public opinion.
I don't understand.
It's very telling that we're talking specifically about arresting Netanyahu, who is a war criminal wanted by the ICC under an arrest warrant, and this fucking ogre is talking about Hamas. Hamas has absolutely nothing to do with Benjamin Netanyahu's war arrest. The only relation is that Hamas is also wanted by international the criminal court. So if anything, that shows it is not just specifically targeting Netanyahu, but this fucking ogre, Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. His brain is absolutely broken. He's no different than the MAGA pedophiles in my chat. They're just coming in, yapping, chirping. Because they didn't actually talk about the issues. If they talked about the issues, they would lose. That's why they just have to make as much noise, shout as much buzzwords as they can, because if they do that, maybe you'll be distracted enough to ignore the fact that Americans want Netanyahu arrested because he is a war criminal.
Why do your readership love?
I'm asking about American public opinion, Senator. American public opinion, Senator. Americans support arresting Benjamin Netanyahu at a 22-point margin, Senator.
Yeah, and why does El Sayed?
Senator, I'm talking about American public opinion.
He's holding up a spot on the wrong side now. Yeah, he's gonna flip any day. For someone so anti-trans, it's amazing how John Fetterman can transition to being a Republican. Oh shit! I shouldn't have taken more food. Hold on. So the jig is up. Israel can no longer hide behind just spewing shit at the wall, right? Because Americans are over it. We're tired of them. We're tired of subsidizing an apartheid state that commits war crimes while we, meanwhile, don't even have enough money for health care. But you saw what John Frankenfetterman does is he has to spew, but Hamas, blah, 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 right? Just nonsense, just absolute nonsense that has absolutely nothing to do with the issue at hand, which is exactly what the Zionists are doing in this instance. Armed man with a hammer stormed a Jewish day camp at the Lev Leavel School, Queens Gymnasium in Queens today. However, they leave out some pretty important context. The maniac, 42, made eye contact with a 19-year-old woman who is not Jewish and started following her at Hoffman Drive and Woodhaven Boulevard in Elmhurst around 10:50 a.m. The woman ducked into the nearby Jewish Institute of Queens on Woodhaven Boulevard near Weatherhole Street for shelter, but the alleged stalker tried to follow her inside, according to the sources. So this is basically a psycho stalking a woman, and then that woman ducks into the nearest building she can find, which happens to be, in this case, is it a Jewish school, what they say it was? Jewish Institute of Queens, so I'm assuming it's a place of worship. So she ducked in there, And they're now making it about, again, they're trying to make themselves the victim. That's what all these Zionists want to do. When the facts are, this guy was stalking the woman, not a Jewish center. And when these Zionists do this, they make it. They are doing the Nazis' work for them. Keep in mind, 1930s, there was the propaganda outlet Der Stürmer, I believe it was called, that would literally choose Jewish people that were being targeted, accused, or convicted of crimes, and they would use those instances to paint all Jews as people that had committed crimes, which is exactly what pedophile terrorist states like Libs of TikTok does, which is exactly what Breitbart does, which is exactly what the Daily Liar does. All these right-wing pedophile Nazi outlets do the exact same thing that Der Stürmer was doing, and now the Zionists are doing the exact same thing here. They are doing the Nazis' work for them. Their victim card has expired indefinitely. It's amazing. You know, the saying by Harvey Dent, you either live long enough to see yourself, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that's what's happening. We have seen Jews gone through horrible persecution since the time of fucking Egypt, right? They've gone through horrible fucking persecutions. And then you look at the Holocaust, of course, 1930s Germany, and all through World War II, horrible, horrible persecutions. And then they finally get a little bit of justice with the Nuremberg trials, and Nazi Germany being downthrone, and there's a whole bunch of international laws and really cleaning house of anti-Semitic nonsense. Then, now, they go and do that exact same trauma, and they inflict it on other people. It is a horrible, horrible character arc that you would just really fucking hate to see in a character on Game of Thrones. Judaism does not equate to Zionism. Exactly. That is the key point, which is, it's just amazing. And you see Zionists actually actively collaborate with true Nazis. I mean, again, Nick Fuentes has been called upon and been part of the Zionist groups. And then you also see in Israel groups like the ADF, which is a Nazi party a new Nazi party in Germany. They have allied themselves with the Zionists in Israel to do the exact same thing. TGEH4YMITC4 says, I agree with you. Thank you so much. Oh, Trigger Mega Pedophile. White Supreme Pizza. So basically, White Supreme Pizza here is a child rapist because they voted for another child rapist, and you'll never believe this about the child rapist that White Supreme Pizza voted for while also being a child rapist himself. This is the truth. White Supreme Pizza, you are a pedophile! White Supreme Pizza, again, don't go anywhere. We have a special crew directly to your house with Chris Hansen. We are going to make sure we document everything and all the child skeletons in your closet. Please don't go anywhere. We have a special prize for you of a lifelong cell on Rikers Island with a cellmate that really hates pedophiles. Please don't go anywhere. I've been battling Hasbro for 4 years now. Okay, so I'm going to admit something, actually. So I don't fully understand the term of Hasbro. This is a thing on my end, but here's the other thing that I say about that. People want to give me shit. You don't know what Hasbro is. Why are you commenting on Israel? I don't need to be an expert on history. I don't need to be an expert on genocide. I don't need to be an expert on Hasbro to be able to look at the footage we're seeing out of Israel of pregnant women being shot in the stomach by quadcopters, of seeing the x-rays of little kids with bullets in their fucking skulls. I don't need to be an expert to see hospitals being firebombed to know that that is wrong. I don't need to be an expert in any of these fields. But this is good for me to learn. So Hasbro is just propaganda. Is it Zionist propaganda, or could you also have like Hamas Hasbro? Could you also have U.S. Hasbro, or is Hasbro just Zionist propaganda? So moving on to this is what they're this is the guy they're upset about. This guy right here. It's kind of insane.
We know that for many New Yorkers, 30% at the grocery store means something very different. Since 2019, food prices have soared at grocery stores around the country by roughly 30%, in fact. Talk to shoppers around the city, and you'll often hear the same frustration. Wages have not kept up. Making matters even worse, some corporations have built out technology that allows for something called surveillance pricing.
Surge pricing,
collecting
yep.
personal data to charge some people more than others for the same carton of eggs.
This is actually such a good key point for him to bring up here, because this surge pricing is like for Uber, right? The Uber prices are going to surge as soon as the bar, like on Halloween, right? Halloween, 4th of July, they're going to surge the prices because they know they can get away with it. It's price gouging. That's all it really is. So now we're seeing that in stores. So if there's a heat wave, they're going to surge pricing on water, right? If there's a cyclospora outbreak and a lot of Taco Bell food, they're going to surge pricing on toilet paper because everyone's shitting themselves. That is truly fucking evil. It's price gouging. That is exactly what it is. And Mamdani is doing a very crucial point in calling it out and saying that this is what these stores are for. They are a counterbalance to that. And everyone's like, oh, well, let the market do its own thing. Okay, well, then the market can survive without this, right? Because capitalism is better than socialism. So why are they so threatened by a community grocery store? If capitalism is so great, then they can surely cut their prices enough to match up with this, right? Surely. That's what. Oh, but then they would have to take a pay cut. Oh, God forbid. God forbid the fucking pedophile Epstein class that runs Walmart would have to take a pay cut while they have everybody else on their staff taking welfare. Eat shit and die. I don't give a flying fuck. We need more like this. This is going to be how you're going to drive prices down, and we need more of this. Zigo985, welcome. Strictly to benefit Zionism and Israel. That's JT. Oh, that's it. Got it. Okay, got you. They just try to give communism a bad name and try and twist the narrative, which is funny because Trump is doing more communist shit than anything that Mamdani is doing. This is more like socialism, really, than communism.
For the same gallon of milk. All of this leaves too many New Yorkers feeling like groceries are out of reach. And that is frankly unacceptable, which is why city government is stepping in to make people's lives more affordable. Today, I am proud to announce a collection of essential staples that will be predictably 30% cheaper at all 5 of our city-run grocery stores.
God. New Yorkers, bless your hearts. You guys are so fucking lucky. Could you imagine Karen Bass doing this? No fucking way. Karen the fascist collaborator Bass? Karen the collaborator? No fucking way. The LA City Council would literally try to hang anyone doing this because the LA City Council are all landlords. They're all real estate people. They're all bought and paid for by special interests. This is a direct threat to the capitalist system because the simple fact is the capitalist system cannot survive on a basis that provides people what they need. If all stores were like this, being able to provide people affordable goods, there would be no more billionaires. There'd be some millionaires, sure, but there wouldn't be billionaires, and that is why it is so dangerous to them. Because if we spread this, that means the Elon Musks of the world, the Jeff Bezoses of the world, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world are not going to be able to be at that profit level. And fuck yes, we need that. Fuck yes. Can I get a hell yeah? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We need more of this. Probably way different politically than you, but I don't like Trump as a European. He has gone crazy. Yeah, we gotta live with it. We gotta live with it, Zygo. Where in Europe are you from? I'm very curious. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. God, it's such a shame Hulk Hogan was a piece of shit.
This core set of goods will include all fresh produce, meat, and seafood, along with 20 other essential items like cheese, milk, and bread. Here's how it will work. Once a month, our 5 city-run grocery stores will set prices for this core set of goods at 30% below typical retail prices.
Oh, I didn't know it was
no
5.
exceptions, no gimmicks. The savings will last for the entire month. That means no weekly fluctuations nor sticker shock at the checkout line. Not for our seniors living on fixed incomes, nor for the parents who rely on a regular supply of apple slices to keep toddler tantrums at bay. Now, can we all see this incredible example of produce?
Those bananas are...
Now, you will see these plantains here. So for anyone wondering how much these beautiful plantains might cost, you can use this QR code or head to grocery.nyc to access our policy report.
That's a nanner. That's not a plantain.
Exactly
what am I missing? Is a plantain a nanner? What am I missing here?
Ladies and gentlemen, the QR code does work.
Okay, I admit it. I hate Mamdani now. He called it a plantain, not a nanner. That's a nanner! I'm never supporting Mamdani ever again. This is fucking betrayal of our core socialist values. He calls a nanner a plantain. I am so fucking betrayed. I can't believe I ever supported this guy. I'm so mad. Let's hear the rest of his speech, though.
Let's see this here. There you can learn more about our city-owned grocery store program, including the 30% discount. 30% off adds up.
I'm not going to lie, though. This suit is like it's Men in Black coded, right? It's definitely very, like, he's going to put on sunglasses and pull out the neuralizer any moment, right? Like, where's the noisy cricket, on this guy? But this is such a basic thing that we need to get back to in governance. This is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And one of the things the people need is food. It's so fucking simple. It's the most basic fucking need, the most base thing that we could possibly want, but food, water, shelter. That's all we could need, all we could want, and he is providing this, right? Remember that the Republican pedo party used to pretend that they were the ones that cared about children? Well, this is going to feed children. Look, this kind of Welch's grape juice, I grew up on this shit when I was a kid. This is going to make such a huge difference in people's lives, and this is exactly what we would want our taxpayer dollars to be spent for. We don't want our taxpayer dollars to be spent for masked, nameless Gestapo terrorists running around kidnapping people to put in concentration camps so that they can rape children later. No, this is what our taxpayer dollars should be going towards. I'm Serbian. You probably never heard of Serbia. I have heard of Serbia. Oh, fuck. But now I can't think of I know it's Eastern European. Let me look it up. Doesn't it border Syria? No. Borders Montenegro. Okay. See, I got to learn this. Okay, so next to Romania, Bulgaria, Macedonia, and north of Greece. Got it. Where's Turkey then? Okay, so northwest of Turkey. Wow, I was way off. I said Syria. I wasn't even in the right fucking hemisphere. Where is Syria now? Hold on. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, there's Syria. I mean, it shows several countries that border Syria, but yeah, I was off. Same family. Plantains are not bananas. What the fuck? Samuel Briggs, you're blowing my mind here. He says plantains are not bananas. So what's the difference between a plantain and a banana? While plantains and regular bananas belong to the same plant family, they differ significantly in appearance, texture, and culinary use. Bananas are sweet, soft fruits eaten raw, whereas plantains are larger, starchier, and must be cooked before eating. I thought that was just an unripe banana. Very, very interesting. Well, see, I've learned two things today. I learned where Serbia is and the difference between a plantain and a nanner. I like that. I like learning new shit. Let's go. Similar but different foods? Yeah, gotcha. I have no clue, to be honest. See, oh, wait, so Zanino, you didn't know about plantains and nanners either then, right? Appreciate the knowledge, yeah. That's the Balkans. It's East Europe. Yeah, East Europe. Okay, gotcha. All right, where was I? So, beyond the Israeli invasion here in America, we're looking at the democracy of the Republican pedo party. It is 2026. Republicans are relitigating the pandemic by investigating Anthony Fauci and not the guy who suggested we inject disinfectant into our bodies to kill COVID, or who called for a slowdown in testing so it wouldn't make him look bad, and who happens to be the pedo-in-chief again. This is so fucking accurate because all of the true criminals of the COVID era got away with it. So many of these the PPP loan fraudsters were the ones that got away with defrauding the government. They would take these loans and they'd say, yeah, I'm going to use this for my business. And then these fuckers would go off and buy luxury yachts. They go and stay at luxury hotels in the Bahamas. It was all a fucking fraud. And then, lo and behold, cases continue to go up. People died, including family and members in my family, and many others died in America. And the guys who were in charge of things were telling you to just drink horse glue, right? Inject fucking bleach, and then shove UV dildos up your ass. I'm not kidding. That's what these people supported. Speaking of pedophiles, Ray Shamrock, the Nazi pedophile, is in my chat right now. Welcome. I got one thing to say to you, bitch.
Kick down the cage, fuck mega heads, stuck in their rage. Fuck Trump, clown on a stage, we burning the system, setting the blaze. Fuck ICE, they tearing the line.
Hey, Ray Shamrock, Donald Trump is a pedophile, and your support for him proves that you are a pedophile too. Because if you weren't also a pedophile, you wouldn't support a pedophile. And if you don't want to be called pedophile, stop supporting pedophiles. It's pretty simple. All right, where was I? Oh, another trigger mega pedophile. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Misreading. Penny Hartleben, 68123, anti-fascist means not fascist. Yeah, so basically the people that landed on the beaches of Normandy were anti-fascist because they were fighting fascists. Somebody finally fucking gets it. So, this is actually a long... Wait, here we are, 85%. Okay, so this seems to be... Oh my god, this is... Oh my god, I hate it when it's a long fucking thing here. So how can liberals be fascist? You know, it's always funny that they call liberals fascist. Have these motherfuckers not seen Chuck Schumer? You think Chuck Schumer could possibly be... I mean, he can be fascist, but not in the way that the right thinks. He can only be fascist against college kids that want to end a genocide. But he can't be fascist against actual Nazis who would actually like to hang Chuck Schumer. That's the thing that they can't do. It's kind of fucking crazy. All right, so let's see if we can make some sense here. 1 million Americans died during the pandemic. When we discuss the failures of the American response, of which there were many, that feels to me like the greatest failure of them all. I think it's actually the million is a significant undercount. Yeah, here we go. Actually, 1.2 million Americans died from COVID, including greater than 200,000 who perished needlessly because they refused COVID vaccines. Those Americans fell victim to a vile anti-science disinformation campaign led by Fox News, News Corp, Spotify, some members of U.S. Congress, and the wellness industry pushing ivermectin and other useless substitutes, detailed in our 2025 book, #ScienceUnderSiege. So, like I have said for a very long time, all we have to do is outlive the fascists, which... surprisingly, they make really fucking easy because these Nazis, again, are refusing medical treatment from actual miracle cures like vaccines. So we just have to stay the fuck away from them and let them die themselves out. That's what's going to happen. They're literally self-culling. It's incredible to watch, and I have no problem. Oh, Trigger Mega Pedophile Phoenix Rises is back. Thank you so much, because actually I'm kind of tired of you, and you're a pedophile child rapist, so I'm just going to ban you from the channel entirely. Bye, bitch. You're a loser. What the fuck does myocarditis have to do with this? So, we just have to outlive pedophiles like Phoenix Rises 113, which, believe me, is very fucking easy because these people, if they deny medical care from literal miracles like vaccines, they're going to do other shit. You know these guys are absolutely going to look down the barrel of a gun when they're cleaning it, right? And we should cheer that on. Honestly, if these people want to question vaccines, it's only a matter of time before they start questioning the theory of gravity, right? And we should encourage them to test it. We should. Let them test it. Don't listen to the experts that tell you that if you fall off a high building, you're going to just be squashed into a pancake. What do they know? They only invested years and hundreds of thousands of dollars into their education to test this stuff. But what do they know? Come on. Go do it. Go on. Please make sure that you go ahead and just do all the stupid thing you could possibly fucking imagine. Right? Hey, remember... if you're in a car, right, you MAGA pedophiles in your redneck trucks, if you are in the back, in the bed of the car, the truck, right, and you guys are driving, if you jump out and you start running, you're going to catch up. That's just physics, right? Come on, MAGA. Why are you sitting at home and not testing this stuff? Let's go, guys. Here we have Dr. Peter Hotez admitting that 85% of COVID deaths were among the vaccinated. That's not what he's saying at all here. The opposite, my friend. More than 85% of all COVID deaths occurred among the unvaccinated, with many of those deaths, sadly, before vaccines became available in 2021. But in addition, at least 200,000, possibly 300,000, died because they refused vaccines after they were made available. Most of those deaths from vaccine refusal occurred with Delta and BA Omicron waves in 2021 to 2022. This is actually amazing because I've seen a couple of the MAGA pedophiles try to, like, go up to Peter Hotez's house, right, and they film it. And they've tried to paint him out as this really evil, like, psychotic villain, just, like, scheming in a lab, like, pouring test tubes into another, like, how can I possibly find the best, most potent virus to destroy humanity? Ah, ha, 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 ha ha! I'm Professor Peter Hotez, and I'm going to find the perfect virus. Ah ha! Like, that's what they really think of this guy. And they went up to his house, and they're filming him, and he's in, like, a flowery little sun hat, shorts that are way too short for the amount of sunlight that pale-ass man was getting. And he's watering his fucking plants. He's the most harmless dude possible. And this is who they tried to make like the villain of the COVID movement, and not, you know, the pedophile Donald Trump who told Wall Street executives, hey, this is actually going to be bad, but let me deal with the American public, and then goes before the American public and say, it's not a big deal. It's just a flu. It's totally fine. Please also make sure, drink bleach, drink a healthy amount of bleach. 1 serving of bleach to each amount of raw, unpasteurized milk. Make sure you do it. Eminem is the best Trump diss songs. He's got some, hey, man, don't fuck with Eminem. Don't fuck with Eminem. That should be something that everybody learns quickly. And sadly, not enough people do. So, going back, Matthew S. Sugar responded to this saying, just a couple sad data points, but the 2 people I knew who died from COVID both were felt on the Delta wave, and I know one of them was unvaccinated. I'm pretty sure the other one, who was under 40 and healthy, was too. I'm still both sad and angry about losing them this way. And I, again, have lost family members to this. I've lost people in my community to COVID. So, yeah, this hits fucking hard. And the people who, the MAGA pedo party, who claim to be all about life, right? They want to be about life and freedom and enjoying your life. Well, you can't really have a lot of freedoms when you're dead. It's kind of hard to enjoy the freedom of speech when you're dead. It's kind of hard to exercise your Second Amendment rights when you're 6 feet under. So he responded with this: we really need to collect the stories of all 200,000 to 300,000 Americans who needlessly died from Q3 2021 to Q3 of 2022 from COVID because they refused COVID vaccines. They fell victim to a deliberate campaign of anti-science disinformation led by the Murdoch media empire, some Spotify podcasters, 46 members of the U.S. I forgot about this one, and wellness influencers who knowingly pushed ivermectin as a substitute when they knew it did nothing for COVID. Horrible sociopaths who did it for greed, political gain, or who were desperate for recognition. Wow, he's got a much better memory than I, because I'm kind of forgetting this. There were some members of Congress that died from it. There are also, of course, a lot of right-wing influencers, radio hosts. One of the women from Diamond and Silk died. Herman Cain, the pizza guy who ran for the Republican presidential nomination one time, he died, and so many fucking others on the right. And this, again, this is what I've said. We just have to outlive them. That is all. They're literally genociding themselves. Even if there was some grand conspiracy on the left to genocide the right, we would never get to launch it in time because they'd all be nothing but a graveyard. They're doing it to themselves. Fevers get to 105 for unvaccinated COVID victim. I had all of them. I had the OG COVID. That was miserable, but not too bad. Then I got the Delta. I thought I was going to die. I was so cold, so I was taking a hot bath to try and warm up because I had such a bad, I think I had a fever at the time. And then I was like shivering in the bath, and then I started coughing, and I couldn't stop coughing. I had like a 5-minute coughing fit, and I was like, this is it. I'm done for, guys. This is it. And then I think I got the Omicron, which is the one later on, if I remember right. And that one, fortunately, was worse than the first one, but not as bad as Delta. You couldn't make this up if you tried. Just like MAGA wearing ear Kotex after Trump supposedly got shot. Yeah, they're little ear diapers. I had COVID in 2024, and all I got was a rash. You got a rash? Is that a common COVID side effect? I haven't heard that one before. Whoops, Jesus. So, what the point of this is that MAGA wants to relitigate the COVID era, and the Democrats, because they're cowards and losers, are not going. They're going to pull their punches. They're going to refuse to go all in like they should. The simple fact is that Donald Trump completely fucked up the response, and then you had Jared Kushner specifically Jared Kushner, halt supplies to blue states, hoping that we would all die off. So, yeah, I have no sympathy for these MAGA pedophiles that died because they refused to take COVID vaccines or any vaccines. In fact, I encourage it, honestly. I don't encourage it because I'm like a psychopath. I'm encouraging it because I'm just tired of arguing. Like, we have tried to tell you over and over the medical facts of the benefits of vaccines, and each time you guys are like, nope, nope, I know better, I know better. I mean, these people would try to take over the fucking cockpit of a 747 saying that they know how to fly better because they have Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's the stupidity of the MAGA pedo mob. So, fine, do it. Do it. The more that you guys just off yourselves and the more that you guys end up in jail and bankrupt and crippled, the better it is for the country because then the less time and capability they're going to have to try and overthrow the country when they lose again. Some people didn't get sick, and yes, rashes were common in the first wave. I did not hear the rashes. That's very interesting. I do remember that some people were asymptomatic, but I had not heard of rashes. That's why Biden inherited a mess? Yeah, well, he didn't. Biden did a lot of stupid shit with COVID, too. It wasn't as bad, but, he did plenty of stupid shit. They know better than people that dedicate their lives to daily medical research. Oh, yeah, 100%. They know way better than the There's definitely truth to the people who can't tell you the difference between an amoeba and a nucleus arguing with a guy like Professor Peter Hodes. That's 100%. They know better. Keep in mind, the people who are calling Fauci like evil, degenerate, and all this shit that he was trying to get Americans killed, this is who they think actually knows medicine.
There's also there's many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that showed children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. It's highly likely because they're given Tylenol. So, none of this is this positive, but all of it is stuff that we should be paying attention to.
Yeah. But, there's a tremendous amount of proof or evidence, I would say, as a non-doctor, but I've studied this a long time ago.
Trump is admitting that he's a pedophile that studies child circumcision. That's fucking creepy, dude. All of this is so creepy. Children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. What the fuck? This is who they want. Again, if this is who MAGA wants to listen to on medical stuff, I encourage it. Honestly, please go out there, drink unpasteurized milk. Please go out and swim in sewage water. Please do whatever stupid-ass thing that Joe Rogan is telling you to do. Shove whatever in the fuck he tells you to up your ass. Do it. Fucking do it, please. Take the enema of pure poison that Joe Rogan is hawking on his show. Please. There is no reason for you not to. We need to encourage it, honestly. And then we on the left just need to make sure that we follow the actual science. We listen to our doctors. We don't listen to quacks. RK Jr. is the writer of Pestilence. He's batshit crazy. He really is kind of he's the ghost writer of psychosis, right? So here we are with, again, they're going on, well, let's just listen.
He should be locked up before he leaves this building today and put in prison and then put on trial in front of the American people. We lost 20 to 30,000 people in Alabama alone.
Keep in mind that these are the people that were saying that COVID is no big deal, right? It's just a flu. And now here they are talking about locking up Fauci because he killed a bunch of people. Which is it? There is no consistency. The only consistency is they're willing to throw whatever shit they can at the wall to enrage their petty little pedo mob of followers to go in one direction rather than realize, wait a minute, the billionaires are keeping us all unsafe, they're raping children, and they're taking all of our taxpayer dollars. Tommy Tub of shit? Yeah, for real.
And I hope every
Tommy
damn
Tuber
one of
shit.
them sues this Dr. Fauci, puts him in court. If we can't put him in prison, let's put him in court every day for the rest of his life where he has to be punished and listen to the death that he caused. The vaccine, the death, the lies that he gave to President Trump, and then he took over for Biden, and Biden didn't know what day it was, and so he was free to just run loose across this country and just lie when the truth he knew was totally different than what he was telling. And again, it's embarrassing for what this is the best country on the face of the earth, and we had this fool as the NIAID director. I mean, it's just absolutely
Wow, he's so bad at this. Holy shit.
appalling that he killed people, and people are still dying because of this vaccine. Who knows what any of these people that are dying every day are dying from, and a lot of it, I think, is from that vaccine that he forced on the people and used us as guinea pigs. It's appalling.
It's just the most brain-dead fucking talking points. The COVID vaccine went through numerous trials, numerous tests, had numerous scans, and research done on it. And the simple fact is that the people that actually put Americans in danger are pedophile supporters like Tommy Tuberville. That is just a fact. They were the ones pushing these bullshit cures, ivermectin, bleach, UV dildos, all this other stupid shit. And truthfully, if this is their response to Dr. Fauci, an esteemed guy who literally has a career of wiping out diseases in other countries, if this is their response, we need to answer right fucking back. The people who belong in jail are pedophile supporters like Tommy Tuberville, and Mehdi Hassan says it here. Like former prosecutor Glenn Kirshner, too, I actually think people who were criminally negligent during the COVID pandemic and got people killed should be investigated and prosecuted if need be. Top of that list, of course, is Donald J. Trump. He's 100% correct. We cannot let this kind of rhetoric go unchallenged without saying, okay, you want to arrest us? We're coming after you. You cannot simply sit there and play defense with fascists. Go on offense. You want to arrest Dr. Fauci? Fine. Let's look at Donald Trump. Let's look at Joe Rogan. Let's look at all of the fucking liars, all the fucking frauds that push these fake-ass cures. Let's go there, motherfucker. Let's do it. America is not the best country anymore. It hurts to say that. It makes me think of that monologue by Jeff Daniels in, what was that show? The Network? Is that what it was called? I need to watch that, by the way. I've only seen the clip of it. But where he's like, America's not the greatest country in the world, and that's my answer. We're blah, blah, blah. We're 50th in literacy. We're 120th in healthcare, blah, 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 and all this just spouts off things. And he's like, but we used to be, goddammit. We did this, 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 and that. And it's fucking true, isn't it? COVID vaccine went through when Trump was in office. That's the other thing. It's like he wants the credit for the vaccine, but he can't take the credit because his mob of brain-dead pedo supporters can't understand that a vaccine is a medical miracle. So this is Anthony, I think his name is Anthony Moreno, to Dr. Fauci, an 80-something-year-old doctor who has a career history of actually eradicating diseases.
Sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that?
This incredible. Who the fuck do you think you were? This is the guy who can't even stand up to another Republican, Max Miller, who beat his wife, who beat this man's daughter. He beat this man's daughter and then broke the collarbone of their child. Weird he can't bring this kind of energy towards his colleague who is accused of beating up his daughter and also pouring boiling water on her and also threatening her with a gun. His colleagues deny these charges. These guys are absolute fucking wimps.
It is a total disgrace what you did to this country.
Again, he's talking about a total disgrace what he did to this country. What about what Max Miller did to your daughter, you fucking coward piece of shit? A man who can't stand up for their own child should be fucking gelded. This is fucking ridiculous. Metaphorically speaking. You can't even geld him because look at it, he's already gelded. He can't even bring the energy that he has for an 85-year-old doctor who worked his ass off to try and save American lives that he should be bringing towards the guy who beat up his daughter. This guy is a coward. He is a fraud. He's a eunuch. He's a liar. He's a cheat. There is no space welcome for a fucking pedophile supporter like this who can't even stand up for his own daughter and his own granddaughter that gets beaten by a man.
And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people.
He's talking about being a celebrity while he can't. Again, he's up here grandstanding as a U.S. senator, unable to support his own daughter and granddaughter. Fuck this piece of shit. Bernie Moreno asked Fauci to apologize to Laura Ingraham, who is, by the way, a Nazi, who is standing behind Fauci and other right-wing grifters. Oh, no. They're trying to pull the Pam Bondi. They're trying to pull the Pam Bondi. Remember when Pam Bondi sat there and she was asked to apologize to the Epstein victims and they all stood up? They're trying to do the same shit.
Human being.
Oh, this is so fucking
Dr. Fauci, can you just turn around and look at the people behind you?
So keep in mind, these pedophile supporters, these fucking grifters, got millions off of hawking fake cures, off of taking money from the Trump regime to push fake news talking points. They took their PPP loans. That's what these people did. They enriched themselves. The Epstein victims went through hell and back. And they want to try and equate that. This is fucking disgusting. Fuck this guy. Wow, why was she so
You're not
slow to
willing to do that?
stand?
That's not a question. It's not a question. To your lawyer, it's not a question. It's a request. All you have to do is look up from your lawyers and look at the people who were absolutely shamed for saying what we know now to be the truth. You can't even look at them?
Fuck this guy.
That's a question. Are you able to look at them? You can sit down in the audience.
What's
Human
wrong with his
being.
speaker? I don't know. His speaker cut out there. This is so fucking pathetic. Senator Bernie Moreno, who refuses to comment publicly on his daughter's allegation that her ex-husband physically abused her and her daughter, tries to shame Dr. Fauci for not listening to right-wing cranks and Fox News pundits. He even asks, you can't even look at them? You first, coward. This is so fucking pathetic. Again, these losers, these cranks, these frauds, these liars, all enrich themselves, and they're trying to do the same thing with the Epstein victims, comparing the two, and then Senator Bernie Moreno can't even stand up for his own daughter. Why the fuck would Fauci ever apologize to a bunch of grifters who enrich themselves when Moreno can't even defend his own fucking daughter? Oh, wait a minute, what? I can't wait for a wonderful American to put Donald Trump in the dirt. That ain't it, pal. That ain't it. I would rather him rot in jail for the rest of his life. Plus, at this rate, he's more likely to just X himself, given the way he's taking care of himself. So this is what we're talking about here. Max Miller accused of pouring hot water on wife, holding gun to her head, and possibly breaking daughter's collarbone, court doc show. This is the guy, this is the daughter of this guy who he can't fucking defend. This is unacceptable and criminal. This rep needs to be removed from office and held accountable. 100%. 100%. We need to have more punishment. We need to have more legal systems and legal ways to hold these people in office accountable. We do. So, moving on from this, I wanted to look more at the actual origins of COVID-19 because I did a little research on this yesterday. So, Genetic Ghosts suggest COVID's market origins. So, I think I read a part of this, but essentially, they found genetic DNA markers of a raccoon dog in some of the first samples from COVID-19, which seems to indicate a non-genetic engineered instance of lab testing, right? So this will break it down better than I can. A team of scientists say it is beyond reasonable doubt the COVID pandemic started with infected animals sold at a market rather than a laboratory leak. They were analyzing hundreds of samples collected from Wuhan, China in January 2020. The results identify a short list of animals, including raccoon dogs, civets? What the hell is a civets? And bamboo rats as potential sources of the pandemic. Despite even highlighting one market stall at a hotspot of both animals and coronavirus, the study cannot provide definitive proof. The samples were collected by Chinese... Well, this is weirdly phrased. A team of scientists say it is beyond a reasonable doubt, but they can't provide definitive proof. Well, that is two different standards of evidence, so I get the point. The samples were collected by Chinese officials in the early stages of COVID and are one of the most scientifically valuable sources of information on the origins of the pandemic. An early link with the Huanan seafood wholesale market was established when patients appeared in hospitals in Wuhan with a mystery pneumonia. The market was closed and teams swabbed locations, including stalls, the inside of animal cages, and equipment used to strip fur and feathers from slaughtered animals. God, remember when this... I remember seeing the footage from this shit, and this looked like... It looked like fucking... Speaking of raccoon dogs, it looked like Raccoon City. It looked like the beginning of Raccoon City. It was insane to see this shit happen in real time. Their analysis was published last year, and the raw data made available to other scientists. Now a team in the U.S. and France say they have performed even more advanced genetic analyses to peer deeper into COVID's early days. It involved analyzing millions of short fragments of genetic code, both DNA and RNA, to establish what animals and viruses were in the market in January 2020. We are seeing the DNA and RNA ghosts of these animals in the environmental samples, and some are in stalls where the COVID virus was found too, says Professor Florence Debarre of the French National Center for Scientific Research. The results, published in the journal Cell, highlight a series of findings that come together to make their case. It shows COVID virus and susceptible animals were detected in the same location, with some individual swabs collecting both animal and coronavirus genetic code. It shows COVID virus and susceptible animals were detected in the same location, with some individual swabs collecting both animal and coronavirus genetic code. Right, which isn't what you would see if it was a lab leak, because it would have the markers of, it wouldn't have these genetic markings in it. This is not evenly distributed across the market and points to various, very specific hotspots. Now that's interesting. We find a very consistent story in terms of this pointing, even at the level of a single stall, to the market as being the very likely origin of this particular pandemic. And, however, being in the same place at the same time is not proof any animals were infected. Boy, those were a lot of caveats. This is very interesting. I mean, it actually shows the level of detail of how certain science is willing to say specific things. Like they can say beyond a reasonable doubt, but they can't find the specific stall. And yet it says here, yeah, we can find a specific stall that had this, but that isn't necessary because, right, correlation doesn't equal causation. Trigger mega pedophile! This one bites. Hey, you are a fucking triggered pedophile, and I just want to say one thing to you, loser.
Ice, kick down the cage, fuck mega heads, stuck in their rage. Fuck Trump, clown on a stage, we burning the system, setting the blaze. Fuck Ice, they tearing the lives apart.
This one bites. Thank you so much for outing yourself as a pedophile. Please don't go anywhere. We have a special crew heading your way to arrest you and send you to Rikers for raping children. And don't worry, we will also make sure we free the children in the basement. Your basement probably looks like the shit from the black phone. We are ready for that. We have all the right tools to make sure the children are free and you are arrested and held accountable. Thank you. This one bites. You are a pedophile. They're not okay. So we did this. The results published in the journal Cell highlight a series of findings that come together to make their case. It shows COVID virus and susceptible animals were detected in the same location, with some individual swabs collecting both animal and coronavirus genetic code. Oh, wait, I already read this. Right, because they're basically saying correlation is not causation, yet they're pretty confident in their findings, which is also pretty common in the way these scientific reports work. The animal which came up most frequently in the samples was the common raccoon dog. This has been shown to both catch and transmit COVID in experiments. Other animals identified as a potential source of the pandemic were the masked palm civet, which was also associated with the SARS outbreak in 2003, as well as hoary bamboo rats and Malayan porcupines. The experiments have not been done to see if they can spread the virus. I would fucking hope not. Am I interpreting this right? The experiments have not been done to see if they can spread the virus. Good. What? This is how you're actually going to get the T virus in Raccoon City. Yeah, dude, don't try to spread the fucking thing. Just study it. What the shit? It's so funny. By trying to disprove the lab leak theory, they're about to go down a testing site that makes them become the lab leak theory. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm not misreading this. This is very interesting. The depth of the genetic analysis was able to identify the specific types of raccoon dogs being sold. Wow, interesting. They were those more commonly found in the wild in South China rather than those farmed for their fur. Jesus, they can tell the difference? This gives scientists clues about where to look next. Reading the virus's code, the research team also analyzed the genetic code of the viral samples found in the market and compared them to samples from patients in the early days of the pandemic. Looking at the variety of different mutations in the viral samples also provides clues. Very interesting. So they took the samples from the market and then they compare them to the samples from the patients that first got submitted. And that way they can see different mutations. God, this is so... I wish I was fucking smarter and could do this kind of shit. The samples suggest, but do not prove, that COVID started more than once in the market, with potentially 2 spillover events from animals to humans. The researchers say this supports the idea of the market as the origin, rather than the pandemic starting elsewhere, with the market adding fuel to the fire in a super spreading event. 2 spillover. Now, I wonder how they can tell that. With potentially 2 spillover events from animals to humans. Researchers say this supports the idea of the market as the origin, rather than the pandemic starting elsewhere, with the market adding fuel to the fire. Yeah, so they're basically trying to dismiss the lab leak, because they're, like, the thought process in this sounds like they were trying to say, well, maybe the lab leak came to the wet market, but they're saying the exact opposite. That the COVID started more than once in the market, with potentially 2 spillover events from animals to humans. Supports the idea of the market as the origin rather than a lab leak bringing it to the wet market. The scientists also use the mutations to build the virus's family tree and peer into its past. I love the idea of a virus having a family tree. You know, it's like, well, this one killed hundreds of thousands of people, right? And then it bred with this one who killed tens of thousands of people. So it wasn't the best of like it's Game of Thrones. Wasn't the best family match. But then they had Magor the Cruel, and this actually caused the Black Plague. It's a little morose, but I find it cute, dumb, stupid, which is my entire brand. If we estimate when do we believe most likely the pandemic started versus when do we believe most likely the outbreak at the market started, these two overlap. They're one and the same. Very interesting, says Professor Anderson. Mr. Anderson, in their specific publication, the full genetic diversity of coronavirus seen in the early days of the pandemic was found at the market. That really does sound like it was just a hotspot and the virus just went fucking buck wild. It was a virus orgy. It was mating left, right, front, and center. Professor Michael Worraby of the University of Arizona said, rather than being one small branch on this big, bushy evolutionary tree, the market sequences are across all the branches of the tree in a way that is consistent with the genetic diversity actually beginning at the market. Okay. Right, so they're saying that the family tree of the virus is seeing every single different, genetic variation at specifically the market, which sure as hell sounds like where it started. He said this study, combined with other data, such as early cases and hospitalizations being linked to the market, all pointed to an animal origin of COVID. Professor Worraby said it is far beyond reasonable doubt that this is how it happened and that other explanations for the data required really quite fanciful, absurd scenarios. I think there's been a lack of appreciation even up until now about how strong the evidence is. So now they're talking about the Wuhan lab leak. The lab leak theory argues that instead of the virus spilling over from wildlife, it instead came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which has long studied coronaviruses. It's located a 40-minute drive, right, it's like 9 miles, I think, by road away from the market. The U.S. intelligence community was asked to weigh up the likelihood of a risk, either accidental or deliberate. In June 2023, all the agencies involved said either a leak or animal origins were plausible scenarios. The NIC and 4 other agencies said animals were the likely source. The FBI and DOE thought it was more likely to be a laboratory incident. Professor Anderson said, to many, this seems like the most likely scenario. The lab is right there. Of course it was the lab. Are you stupid? I totally get that argument. However, he says there's now plenty of data that really points to the market as the true early epicenter and even locations within that market. And the other thing is there's nothing like this on the side of the lab leak side. There's no evidence. Everything is circumstantial that the lab happened to be there at the time, but there's no evidence. There's no whistleblowers coming forward. There's no lab leaks. There's no actual studies. Like, look at this. They scrubbed the stalls in there. They took samples from the patients who went to the wet market. There's nothing like that on the lab leak side. They didn't take samples of the people who were infected. I don't even think I've heard of people from that incident. Like, if the virus came from there, those people would have been the first to be infected. And yet that's not what I've heard at all being the case. Identifying the animals that could have been the source of the pandemic does provide clues where scientists could look for further evidence of an animal's origin. And that's the other thing. They're doing all these genetic tests to see, like, oh, well, yeah, the family tree of the virus clearly shows it here, 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 and here. And also these different animals' DNA mixed in with it. You don't see anything like that. You don't see any genetic markers showing any kind of manufactured DNA or whatever in the fuck would be in there, right? And that would be the other thing, is like that would show some kind of evidence towards a lab leak theory, and yet we're not seeing that. In every sample of the COVID-19 in the early days was all showing that it was linked to animals. There is nothing, because, look, I'm not smart about this, but I have read Jurassic Park a few times, and basically you can see within the genetic structure there's indicators, I can't explain how or why, but there are indicators within the genetic DNA testing strand that you can see showing, like, yeah, actually this came from a factory because of, this fucking whatever shows this, this, and this, which you would see in a lab like this, in a lab like this, in a lab like this. And there hasn't been a single sample in a published paper that shows that towards the lab leak theory. Identifying the animals that could have been the source of the pandemic does provide clues to where scientists could look further for further evidence of an animal origin. However, because farms destroyed their animals in the early days of COVID, it means there may no longer be any evidence left to find. In all likelihood, we missed our chance, says Professor Worraby. Professor Alice Hughes from the University of Hong Kong, who was not involved in the analysis, said it was a good study. But without swabs from the actual animals in the market, which were not collected, we cannot obtain any higher certainty. Professor James Wood, the co-director of Cambridge Infectious Diseases, said the study provided very strong evidence of the pandemic starting in wildlife stalls of the market. However, he said it could not be definitive because the samples were collected after the market closed and the pandemic probably started weeks earlier. And he warned little or nothing was being done to limit the live trade in wildlife, and uncontrolled transmission of animal infections poses a major risk of future pandemics. So keep in mind, this was September of 2024. So this is actually just today, July 29, 2026. Senator Rand Paul, blah, 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 blah. This is all blah, blah, blah. Paul and Trump ministers say that the virus leaked from a Chinese laboratory either accidentally or intentionally. 2025 locked down the government. Blah, 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 bullshit. What does the evidence show? Supporters of what's known as the lab leak theory note that the analysis of the virus by scientists relied on incomplete data provided by the Chinese government. That's not what this shows at all. They also point to the lack of a smoking gun in previous analyses, an animal infected with SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, at a market in Wuhan, China. What? Well, like it said, they couldn't get the samples because the animals were all gone and dead after the market closed. But even so, they took samples from they took swabs from the area, and they're finding the animal DNA in the virus. Some U.S. intelligence agencies have also expressed a low to moderate degree of confidence in the accidental lab leak theory. But virologists who study pandemic origins are much less divided than the U.S. intelligence community. They say there is very convincing data and overwhelming evidence pointing to an animal origin. In a report issued in June of 2025, so this came out after this study, which they said proves beyond a reasonable doubt, the WHO stated the weight of available evidence suggests zoonotic spillover, either directly from bats or through an intermediate host. I wonder if that's what'd they say, a civet? What's a civet? I bet the civet is a bat. It's kind of ocelot, looks like. Oops, wrong paper. Through an intermediate host. That conclusion was based on 3 years of research by the 27 members of the WHO Scientific Advisory Group for the Origins of Novel Pathogens. NPR's reporting has supported that theory. A 2024 study in the peer-reviewed journal Cell found multiple lines of evidence showing the virus spilled over, so that's this study right here, from wild animals to humans. The authors of the study, a team of scientists that includes prominent names such as Michael Warraby and Angela Rasmussen, right? Isn't that what? Let's see. Rasmussen. Wasn't Warraby in here? Michael Warraby, yeah, so Warraby, but they didn't quote Rasmussen. That's interesting. Angela Rasmussen say, well, obviously it's sexist because they kept out the woman. Say the analysis shows with unprecedented granularity that coronavirus susceptible wildlife and the SARS-CoV-2 virus were mingling, along with human beings, in a very specific part of the wet market in China. Okay, I am not going to be able to read this. Let's see. Where samples positive for the coronavirus were found in Huanan Seafood Wholesale Market in January 2022. Oh, so this is a map of the positive SARS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Chinese Center took samples from the stalls, right, after animals had been removed. Samples that test positive for coronavirus were largely collected in the south corner. Live animals were sold, and whereas scientists took photos in 2014. Concerned about potential. So I'm assuming 5 is more severe. Positive samples. Oh, it's the number of samples found in the stall. Okay. Yeah, so here's the raccoon, dogs, and birds in 2014, where they first warned of this possibly happening. East side. So what is the self-reported case of COVID-19 in vendors? Okay. Yeah, so it's definitely clustered here. And then it's very interesting. You see some spillover here, but not necessarily animals. Well, but they didn't test the animals, right? This is very interesting to see. Stall selling meat. Okay, so meat. Stall selling live animals. So then what is this? So these weren't selling meat or live animals. So were they just selling other shit then, I guess? Very interesting. 2 extensive peer-reviewed studies published in the journal Science in 2022, researchers looked at the distribution of the earliest known cases and found that they formed a bullseye centered at the wet market. If the outbreak had started at the lab, researchers argued cases would have spread out from there, which is what I said earlier, right? I haven't heard of any cluster of cases being discovered at the lab prior to the COVID outbreak. Warby, an evolutionary biologist who worked on the Science and Cell papers and was at the forefront of the pandemic origins research, spoke to NPR in 2022 about the data. It's absurd how strong the geographical association is to the market, he told NPR. Warby said that the likelihood of a coincidence wherein the virus did come from a lab, even though the first cluster of COVID-19 cases occurred at the market, was 1 in 10,000. So you're telling me there's a chance? Oh yeah, I'm convinced. 1 in 10,000. It came from a lab, guys. Came from a lab. We proved it right here. 1 in 10,000. That shows it came from a lab. The evidence is amongst the best we have for any emerging virus, he said. It's important to note we haven't found a related virus in the intermediate host, but we have a bunch of other evidence. I gotta clip that. Hold on. I gotta send a note to myself to clip that. Let me see. So this is 1 10 0 0. We'll just say that. Let's see. Okay. 1 in 10,000. The evidence is amongst the best we have for any emerging virus, he said. It's important to note we haven't found a related virus from the intermediate host. We have a bunch of other evidence. So keep in mind, there's like the first study came out, looks like in about 2022, right? Published in the journal Science, and then there was more papers published in 2024. Collected from a team of scientists. The samples were collected. Published last year. Okay, so 2022, 2023, and now we're going back and revisiting it, and sounds like there's even more evidence. Is there? I thought it said something about a new study. Maybe I'm mixing my facts here. We have a bunch of other evidence. So again, concentration of all COVID-19 cases in December 2019, right? So this is the wet market in Wuhan. Concentration of COVID-19 cases not directly linked to Wuhan market in December 2019. And the lab is like somewhere over here, if I remember from the map that I saw. Let's see, 3 miles. Yeah, because it's like 7.5 miles as the crow flies and like 9 miles difference. 9 miles from via driving. Many scientists still express the need to keep an open mind if new information about the pandemic. The authors note ongoing. Okay, so yeah, this is the WHO 2025 report. The authors note ongoing certainty about the pandemic's origins. They wrote that much of the information needed to assess the lab leak theory had not been made available to them. While a zoonotic origin with spillover from animals to humans is currently considered the best supported hypothesis by the available scientific data, until requests for further information are met or more scientific data becomes available, the origins of SARS-CoV-2 and how it entered the human population will remain inconclusive. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, Jesus, okay, they're just named, sounds like fucking Apocalypse's character origin, offered this perspective. Apocalypse, the X-Men character, okay, I'm a nerd, you should get it. As things stand, all hypotheses must remain on the table, including zoonotic spillover and lab leak. We continue to appeal to China and any other country that has information about the origin of COVID-19 to share the information openly in the interest of protecting the world from future pandemics. That call for a forward-looking perspective has been echoed by many in the scientific community. In my view, it's important to keep investigating this question with an open mind, while also proactively taking steps to minimize the risks of both future-related, research-related, and zoonotic outbreaks, yada, yada, yada. Some scientists are concerns and Paul's focus on the pandemic, public trust and research. Yeah. So this is like reading this, I have to go through and reread it a couple times to be like, okay, did I understand that? And then obviously there's other shit that I didn't understand. But the simple fact is that this is why the MAGA pedo party is able to do what they're able to do in pushing fake news out there about the COVID virus outbreak. Because if you were to watch this segment, which I took, it took me about 20 minutes reading all this. If you watch this segment, would you be able to quickly and concisely explain it to some MAGA mob pedophile who doesn't understand science and also distrusts science? Would you be able to explain how and why? I mean, I think that the gist of it is that they were able to do genetic research and testing on the DNA samples of the early COVID and also the ones from the animals, and they found there was spillover from the animals. They did not see any signs of any kind of lab leak or lab contamination or any manufacturing of the virus. Also, they're seeing a cluster of the early detection of the virus at the wet market. There is no cases at the lab leak, whereas you would see at the lab leak earlier, which then went to the wet market, and you're not seeing that. You're seeing the exact fucking opposite. You're actually not even seeing the opposite. You're just seeing it concentrated at the wet market and then spreading everywhere throughout the country. But that is why it's just easier for MAGA to go, nuh-uh, Fauci bad, right? That's way easier than it is to actually explain genetic research, cluster samples, testing, all this shit. They can't, their tiny little pedo brains can't fucking get it. Techcast, Jesus Christ. Maybe someone fucked a fish with a cough at the wet market and transferred to humans. Heard that is how AIDS started. A air steward somewhere. Jesus Christ. Yeah, a lot of fish fucking in China. Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah, absolutely. So, what this all comes down to is that they need a deflection, right? And MAGA, the Trump pedo party, knows that the COVID stuff is such a lightning rod that just channels their base, right? Because if they can keep their base distracted by hating Fauci instead of hating the billionaires that are raising their gas prices, raising their rents, and making houses more affordable, then Donald Trump can keep enriching himself. He can continue to make billions off of crypto, which MAGA is not getting, and MAGA won't fucking care or know because they're too busy frothing at the mouth over Fauci while their bank account is in the fucking red, right? And this is exactly why they're trying to push this stuff about Fauci. The approval ratings for pedo Trump is at 32%, -6. This is the lowest I have ever seen him. And honestly, I don't think this is the floor. I still think that this Fauci stuff is going to be like a flash in the pan, right? But at the end of the day, you're still not going to be able to distract from prices at the pump going up. And we haven't even hit the real problems with the supply chain that we're going to have with lack of gas, lack of fertilizer, right? Lack of commerce being able to go in and out through the Strait of Hormuz. We haven't hit the real fucking problems yet. The real shorts, real fucking bread lines that we're about to get in because these billionaire pedophiles are hoarding everything. We haven't even got to that. So I don't think this is going to last. I did figure Trump would do something like this where he has to go to his lightning rod issue of some kind. He has to find some trans person that did something evil or an immigrant that did something evil or Fauci, who was actually a pretty decent guy, made some mistakes. Everybody fucking did, but still tried his best. So I don't think it's going to last. I don't think it has the sustaining power of hating Fauci versus my gas prices are now $6 a gallon. I don't think it does. But we'll see. Trump's approval and lowest approval in either term. Trump's net approval on key issues. Immigration, -17. Never thought I'd see that. Economy, -32. Never thought I'd see that. Foreign policy, -32. Iran, -38. Again, I really think these are rookie numbers. We got to pump those numbers down. So we see here, this is a little bit different. So this is a slightly different poll. This is by Quinnipiac, which is a pretty high standard from what I recall. This is Verisight / The Argument. I don't know them very well, so take it with a grain of salt. However, it's more or less roughly in line, like 39% support versus 32. It's a 7% difference, so it's not that much. The disapprove, interestingly though, is actually higher here by 1%. Probably margin of error, but just interesting. So this is the generic ballot for registered voters. Right? So registered voters are different from likely voters because just because you register to vote doesn't necessarily mean you actually go to the polls. Whereas likely voters are people who have voted in the past and show a tendency to generally vote consistently. So these are the numbers you really want to look at if you want to more accurately, generally speaking, if you want to accurately gauge voter turnout. Now, sometimes this changes because you might have a depression of the vote, again, like you had with Kamala Harris, where she ran on a horrible platform and was a horrible candidate, and it depressed the vote, so therefore people didn't go out to vote. And then there's sometimes a surge of voting where people are historically unpopular, so therefore people turn out to go and vote more than you would normally see. So we see a pretty even spread. This is interesting. It's only a 1% difference between the two. I thought it'd be a bigger spread here. What is their margin of error? It doesn't say. But this is why they have to go back to Fauci, right? Same thing here. This is with white non-college voters. He's at -8 from +24. This is really, really bad for Trump. This is really fucking bad. And then this is only going to make things worse. Trump and Musk promised to shrink the deficit. Instead, it's projected to grow to $2.5 trillion a year within a decade in today's dollars. That's a heavier burden for taxpayers, and it pushes up interest rates on credit cards, mortgages, and beyond. And the latest study, I think, showed that there's the average American has some $3,000 in credit card debt. Well, guess what? If you got $3,000 in credit card debt, that's going to go fucking up. And pretty soon, you're not going to be able to keep up with the payments. And also, the fucking government is not going to be able to keep up with their own credit card payments. And of course, Trump, laser focused on affordability, is doing, he's displaying photos in the Oval Office of his planned Dulles redesign. Right. Yeah. Yeah, MAGA, he's really worried. He's really feeling the pain of your gas prices, yeah. He's really upset that you guys are having to pay more for your steaks. Yeah. Yeah, he's really upset. You know, this is actually what he's doing with your taxpayer dollars. Falling asleep. Look at this. He legitimately fell asleep there.
Covered within 3 years, even before the pledged date. We have allocated an additional budget of 20
can continue to be done to reestablish deterrence around the world.
God, not even low T Pete can keep him awake.
10, 20 years down the road is because of the F-47 and the B-21 and the autonomy and the carriers that this president will build because of this historic investment. The Golden Dome that protects
religious leaders, religious institutions, healthcare workers.
This is their
military service members.
This is their high energy guy. And why does this dude look like someone that's going to get absolutely curb stomped in The Boys by Homelander?
Of a job, an economy, a community, a family. And for
oh my God!
Sure,
I hadn't seen that one.
Never obtain a nuclear weapon. This is stuff for the history books.
Low T Pete really puts him asleep. His voice is like a lullaby to Trump.
Our manufacturing, everybody across the country needs a.
They've been ripped off, and what he's saying is we want to have trade with the world, but it has to be a trade in which American businesses.
What is with these guys and having really piss poorly shaped suits?
And what American farmers grow and produce has a fair shot to be sold around the world. On issue after issue, that's been the case. You talk about foreign aid.
50% of the country's seafood.
We're cutting unnecessary red tape that forced providers to close, limited access to care, and made it harder for working families to find the support they needed. We're moving away from one-size-fits-all federal mandates and instead empowering parents to meet their child's unique needs.
They're the farmers of the sea, just like President Trump's behind our farmers and ranchers.
Not every day is a challenge, but it's been driven personally by the president. It's the reason why we're involved in this whole Ukraine-Russia conflict. That's not our war. It's not the president's war. This war started. It never would have happened if you'd been president. But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it, not because, listen, we got a million things to focus on in the world as a country, but he's the only leader in the world that can help end it. And that's why even as we speak to you now.
Getting a free ride with American innovation. Just like in defense, but they've been getting in health defense a free ride. And now President Trump is putting policies in place to force these nations to pay their.
That first Decoration Day knew what we know on this Memorial Day. That these graves are more than names and dates with a dash.
He's falling asleep again.
Each grave marker is a story. The young American on the battlefield away from home, he stayed in combat with loved ones stayed in contact with loved ones by writing letters.
He seems to fall asleep most when Low T Pete is speaking. You notice that?
In World War II, they called it victory mail.
They are selling oil in the market at market rates. The money's going to an account in the United States.
Oh my God, I remember this one.
In the Perinatal Improvement Collaborative hospitals, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%.
Oh man.
Incredible. And this is
he don't give a fuck about you, lady.
In benchmark hospitals.
He doesn't give a fuck about maternal mortality. Who gives a shit? Let them all die. I don't care. I don't care. They can all die. With the little duck-billed things, let them bleed. Just let them bleed out. Jesus Christ. It's just like... You know what this reminds me of? Has anybody seen that clip of Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal messing around with the mics on stage? Hang on. This has all that. This has the exact same energy. Let me see.
Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal were messing around.
Oh my God! Shut the fuck up! I just want to see the footage. Okay, yeah. Hold on. This has the exact. Okay, hold on. Let's watch this again. And remember from the Access Hollywood tape when he's talking about Tic Tacs, I gotta get a Tic Tac. She looks so beautiful. I just might make a move and do it anyways. Remember? So he's about to rape someone. That's what this means. Cool. Feminism by definition as amoral. That's not a properly constructed sentence, and I don't know what you're saying, for the record, Ray. Oh, my God. The dude is dead! And they're like, hey, I gotta tell you, JD, your Vance. JD Vance, your breath is awful. I can't tell if it's your breathing or Lindsay's decaying corpse, but it's awful. It's awful. And I gotta give you a Tic Tac. Immortal. Cool. Feminism by definition as an... Okay, Ray, you gotta help me, brother. You gotta start the sentence over. I'm sorry, I'm lost. Okay, but this is okay. Watch this. So what? He looks at JD, right? They're yapping it up. He gets one. Tell me that doesn't have the exact same energy. Fuck. Hold on. Hold on. Tell me that this doesn't have the exact same energy. It has the exact same energy, dude. Tell me I'm wrong. Hold on. Where is it? There's more. Wait. He gets a Tic Tac. Oh my God, what a fat pig. And then he gives JD one. Oh my God, it's the same energy. He's like, I told you not to do that. Body shaming is crazy. Have you not heard a Trump speech? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? I gotta clip this. This is just like that. There's that trend on Instagram where there's that one woman who's like, show me 2 clips who have the same energy. That's this. Oh my God, that's so fucking funny. Okay, there we go. Okay, where were we? So, what is he doing to counter these bad polls, right? What is he doing to counter this bad publicity? Let's see.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state.
Oh.
We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country.
Oh.
We have 50 states. We have
He
all
wants
these
to
other
make it
people. We're
worse
fighting
for
wars.
Americans.
We can't take care of daycare.
Of
You gotta let the
course.
state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too.
Of course.
They should pay. They have to raise their taxes.
Right.
But they should pay for it. And
Right. He can enrich himself, make him more money in the first 2 years of his time in the White House right now than he's ever made in his entire business career. But states and Americans have to suffer. Of course. It's so fucking obvious. Jeez, man's a genius.
we
Just
could
genius.
lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things.
Yeah.
They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection.
Yeah, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things that are literally written by the federal government to provide to the states that are supposed to be given to us. All these things that we're supposed to be given because we pay our taxes. Fuck that shit. We just gotta bomb motherfuckers. That's what this is. Yeah! I don't care if I'm dying of cancer and I can't get my medication. I just want to bomb some kids today. That's what MAGA sounds like every single fucking time I hear them say this shit. This is the dumbest fucking thing. You can afford wars, but you can't afford Medicaid and Medicare. Okay, don't go to fucking war. Don't go to a war that is literally meant specifically to distract that this pedophile is in the Epstein files. I don't know. Seems like an easy solution to me. Speaking of pedophiles, Elon Musk's XAI is suing Minnesota to stop a ban on apps that create sexualized deepfakes without consent. The law, the first in the U.S. to prohibit notification technology, goes into effect in August. Watchdog groups estimate XAI's Grok has generated millions of sexual deepfakes. Suing to block this is the biggest red flag of all time. If you recall, there was a time where a lot of pedophiles were generating CSAM through Grok AI. Specifically, I believe there was a moment where they were doing that one of the kids from Stranger Things, and like they were creating CSAM of these kids through Grok AI. Elon Musk was made aware of it, and rather than shut it down, he told his staffers to keep it up. He's a pedophile. That is not the actions of a person who has a problem with child sexual abuse. That is the mindset of a person who actually enjoys that shit, which we know because Elon Musk begged Daddy Epstein to take him to the island on Christmas Day. So Tim Walz said, "See you in court, creep." Now, Tim Walz is an absolute eunuch and a coward and a fraud, but this is the correct response. For the record, it's amazing how this guy can take on the world's biggest douchebag and first trillionaire, but he is completely cucked when it comes to fighting ICE. Kind of weird. Speaking of Epstein and pedophiles, this is Liz Stein, an Epstein survivor, talking about the new Attorney General nominee, Todd Blanche.
A vote for Todd Blanche is a vote against victims of crime everywhere. And despite any political differences that we may have as individuals, as citizens of the United States of America, that should concern us all. Thank you. A vote for...
Like, we just gotta say, these women are fucking incredible. These are survivors of a horrible sex trafficking cult, and they went through literal fucking hell. I mean, death threats, abuse, stalking, harassment, blackballing from whatever jobs they ever wanted. It's incredible to see these women stand up against these pedophiles and be willing to say, no, we're not going to fucking do it, right? We're not going to stand up for this. We're not going to let you do this shit. It's incredible to see. And all the more, this is how rape culture, this is how pedo culture. Everyone hears about the Epstein pedo cabal and is like, I can't believe it. How did they get away with it? How was it able to continue happening? Because of shit like this. Because they are nominating a man for the Attorney General who has openly said he is Trump's personal attorney, and Trump is the #1 client of the Epstein pedophiles. So, yeah, they are willing to they're willing to let him get up there because their goal is to continue rape culture. Their goal is to continue pedophilia. That is their entire existence. That is their entire purpose. And it also shows how quickly they can flip-flop, right? Like, look at Ted Cruz here. I think it is very bad development for America. One of our two major parties goes bat crap crazy. I think we need more Democrats like John Fetterman. When he previously said this, paused to reflect that Fetterman held an unarmed and innocent black man hostage with a shotgun and admitted it was probably illegal, and then piously posts Black Lives Matter, and then deletes it in the general election. This is, again, how rape culture is able to take hold and continue, because these people in the Republican pedo party stand for absolutely nothing, and they will flip-flop in a second as long as they protect their power. It is not about the people. It is not about religious freedom. It is not about anti-cancel culture. It is not about the weaponization of the Justice Department. It is simply about power. And pedophile protectors like Ted Cruz play that game. I don't say he plays it well, but he plays it non-fucking stop. A Purple Heart veteran is taking legal action after 3 National Guardsmen detained her without a warrant on her D.C. patio in a violent confrontation. Her injuries required surgery. We are not at war with Americans, and my porch is not a war zone. This is what our taxpayer dollars are going to fund right now. Why are we funding this shit? This should not be what we fund send our money for. A decorated U.S. Army veteran, veteran is taking legal action against the Idaho National Guard and the Defense Department after 3 troops detained her without a warrant on her front patio in a violent confrontation. According to a complaint filed on her behalf by the ACLU, on Wednesday she sustained injuries that required surgery and is seeking $3 million in damages. Keep in mind, not only was this arrest illegal, not only are we funding this violent, abusive, fascist Gestapo going door to door on this kind of shit, we're going to fund her payout. We're funding the courts that have to listen to her case. And when she wins and gets a settlement or it goes to trial, we're paying for all of that. But remember, we can't pay for Medicare, daycare, Medicaid, or anything like that. But we can fund Gestapo breaking the ribs, or what is she saying she broke here? Was sitting on the bench May 8th, when 3 National Guardsmen approached, the complaint says, though she served in the military, earning a Bronze Star and Purple Heart for her service in Iraq, she's been an outspoken critic of Donald Trump's deployment of troops in D.C. and has made her stance clear through signs on her front patio reading, "Occupation troops out," and "National Guard, stop being so embarrassing." The Guardsmen walked through her front gate and announced she was being detained. Not explain why. So they got butthurt. This is fucking Nazi shit right here. They're a bunch of weak-ass little snowflakes, of course from my home state of Idaho. They have got their fucking little diapers in a wad, and so they have to go and beat up this woman. The video then shows her moving towards the steps to her apartment, but the guardsmen block her path. She responds by telling one of the men to get the fuck out of my face and attempts to step past him toward her apartment, but he forces her backwards. The guardsmen then surround her and grab for her arms while she yells, swears, and attempts to shake them off. 2 of the troops wrestle her to the ground, handcuffing her and pinning her to the concrete, while the 3rd calls the D.C. police. National Guard troops deployed in D.C. can detain people, but are not authorized to make arrests, so they must call other law enforcement to conduct an official arrest. 2 D.C. police officers arrived roughly 15 minutes after the guardsmen first approached King. According to the complaint filed Wednesday, the troops left King handcuffed and face down on the concrete until D.C. police officers rolled her on her side to ensure her breathing wasn't restricted. One officer tried to cut the plastic handcuffs off her, but according to the complaint, they were on too tight. The officer instructed the guardsmen to take off the plastic handcuffs so he could replace them with a looser metal pair, the complaint says, but by the time they were removed, she had suffered limited blood circulation to her hands for about 17 minutes. King faces 2 misdemeanor charges of assaulting a law enforcement officer. So this is bullshit. They were on her property. This was an invasion of her fucking property. She defended herself. This bullshit. They went onto her lawn with no right, no probable cause, no warrant, no provocation, other than the fucking losers who had their little fifis hurt. This is disgusting. The troops accused King of punching one of them in the chest, kicking another in the groin, both causing minor pain. In the video, King resisted the troops' attempts to wrestle her to the ground, but does not appear to punch any of them. Yeah, so they fucking lied. They always have to lie because the entire scheme here of fascism is nothing but liars, frauds, and cheaters. I hope these fucking people lose their pensions. I hope these fucking loser pedophile supporters are never able to work again. Honestly, I do. And then we see more shit like that here. ICE agents threatened to beat up a Seattle small business owner married to a citizen with no criminal record unless he signed a voluntary departure.
That was Eduardo Aguirre Esparza, who you just saw get detained by ICE. I want to share an update on Eduardo's detainment. Basic human decency. I'm told there were cameras in the room, so I am demanding ICE turn any video over.
ICE is a lawless terrorist organization of pedophiles that starts concentration camps and then rapes the kidnapped victims that they take. That is what ICE is. On Thursday, ICE needlessly detained Eduardo Aguirre Esparza, a local Seattle small business owner with no criminal history. This is a man who is married to an American citizen and with deep ties to our local community who is working hard to pursue a legal pathway to permanent residence. Good for this senator. This is the kind of senator action that we need. I'm glad she's getting involved. I want to like all that shit. So this is a really good point here. This is a reminder that some voluntary departures people sign while detained by ICE are the product of coercion. First instance I've heard of over the years involve ICE agents grabbing a person's hands and forcing them to sign a piece of paper they can't read. It's a voluntary removal. Fuck these people. Abolish ICE. Prosecute every single one of them, down to the fucking accountants, down to the fucking maintenance people. Way more than enough evidence in these papers, not only to get Comey's charges 86 before trial in federal court, but also to get Blanche and Trump 86 in impeachment trial in the Senate. Behind the scenes, the Secret Service was closely coordinating with the DOJ and the President himself. The Secret Service sent frequent updates to Air Force One in response to direct requests from President Trump. who wished for an update in advance of speaking to the press. A Secret Service supervisor who was asked that night about conducting electronic surveillance of Mr. Comey on his drive back to Washington the next day made clear that it was legally a bad idea because there was no belief of imminent danger to life to justify the warrantless surveillance. Another agreed that it was legally questionable, but indicated they might do it anyway. Pat Fitzgerald cites some very bad facts re the prosecution of James Comey. Secret Service agents acknowledged number 3 DOJ official ordered them to surveil Comey, and they felt it was likely illegal. Agents also gave Trump updates on the case on Air Force One at his instruction. This is straight out of fucking Nazi playbook. This is 100% the actual weaponization of the Justice Department. And it's infuriating to read shit like this being done, and Merrick Garland didn't have the fucking balls to even open an investigation with a special counsel on Trump. No more of this. No more of this. Oh, but we can't be seen as partisan bullshit. They're going to say you're partisan anyway. The best thing you can do is prosecute the facts and investigate them. No more of this fucking clutching your pearl shit. Oh, but what will we possibly do with the pedophiles who want us killed? Then they won't vote for us. Fuck that shit. I'm so sick of Democrats being so fucking pathetic. LOL, trying to concoct a case against Comey for the 8647 seashell photo, Trump desperately sought people who would testify that 86 is a mafia threat. They interviewed aging mobsters like Sammy the Bull. Oh my God, these people are so pathetic. Absolute, just the biggest fucking loser energy. Moving forward here, if you recall, the Trump regime came into power in 2017, right, when he was inaugurated. And there's always been insane behavior from the billionaire Epstein class, but this is up there. The couple, Ina and David Steiner, accused eBay leadership of mailing a series of threatening deliveries to the Steiners' home in 2019. I remember reading about this, including a box of live cockroaches, a bloody pig's head mask, and a funeral wreath. The Steiners also accused executives of online harassment, including online posts inviting strangers to their house for sex. eBay pleaded guilty in 2023 in a criminal case over the harassment and paid a $3 million penalty. Following criminal charges in 2020, 7 employees of the company were sentenced to prison terms ranging between 1 and 5 years. Fuck yes, I love it. You guys can't see it, and thank God, but my erection is poking into my keyboard right now. I love it when these pedophile Epstein-class billionaires are caught and they actually face prison terms. This is amazing. More of this, please. Please, 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 more of this. We need more of this shit. The harassment campaign began after the Steiners criticized eBay in their online commerce blog, E-Commerce Bites. According to court documents, eBay executives grew increasingly upset by the Steiners' critical coverage of the company in early 2019, leading then-chief executive Devin Wenig to text another executive that it was time to crush Ina Steiner and take her down. Oh, man, this must have been one hell of a... Could you imagine being the lawyers prosecuting this case? Like, man, oh, beautiful. Fucking beautiful. Fucking diabolical. That summer, harassment against the Steiners escalated from threatening messages delivering items to their home, which also included a book about surviving spousal bereavement and pornographic magazines sent to neighbors' homes in Steiner's name. That is fucking amazing. Oh, we have several Trigger MAGA pedophiles in the chat. Hey, to all the MAGA pedophiles in my chat, I got one thing to say to you.
Fuck ice, kick down the cage.
You hear that, TikTok pedophiles? Hey, MAGA pedophiles, want to make sure you're seeing this, okay? Are you hearing this?
Mothers in the night, taking kids from their arms, yeah, that shit ain't right. Cold cells, concrete floors, no blanket in sight. Whole families erased, buried deep from the light. This ain't security, this shit is pure terror. Government crimes masked up is error. Cages full of brown skin, rage. Fuck Trump, clown.
Oh, and for all the other trigger mega pedophiles, there's this too.
Trump is on the Epstein list. Yes, he is. Trump is on the Epstein list. Yes, he is.
I do what I can every single day just to make sure I This is the new Rickroll. I have found it. The new Rickroll against the ICE Trump MAGA pedo party. I got it. All right here. All right, let's go on. I also love to see this, by the way. So many of the claims about trans athletes by the anti-trans side are simply made up. This woman got caught lying about 2 trans athletes and was forced to pay out because of it. Like a glove? An anti-trans activist lied about a trans athlete injuring cis women. Now she has to pay the price. Yes! Oh my God, these are the pick-me-ups we need right now, people. Karali Smith admitted in court she didn't have any evidence to back up her claim about a trans woman injuring 2 cis women. An anti-trans activist in Australia has lost her appeal on an unlawful vilification ruling, so now she has to pay $95,000 in damages and issue a public apology to the 2 trans women she targeted. Oh, it's glorious! Oh, it's so fucking glorious! Karali Smith, CEO of the anti-LGBTQ plus organization Binary Australia, posted pictures in 2023 of Riley Dennis, a trans woman playing on a semi-pro soccer team in New South Wales. The state that includes Sydney. She claimed that Dennis was a man appropriating womanhood and that she had injured 2 cis women during a match so badly that they were both hospitalized. That claim wasn't true. And Smith would later admit in court that she had no evidence for that claim and couldn't even say when or where it supposedly happened or who the injured women were. I didn't injure anyone. I didn't hospitalize anyone, Dennis told the local news. Smith also posted on X in 2023 that she wanted men to help her with the bloke playing on the women's team. Shortly after, she traveled to an area on the coast with a group of men impersonating trans women, according to The Guardian. What? They're always just the biggest fucking freaks and weirdos. Here's a fun fact. Ben Shapiro's The Daily Liar tried to make an anti-trans film, right, showing that it wasn't difficult to be trans at all. So part of that would have required them to take hormones for years. None of them wanted to do it. They all chickened out. They all bailed because to actually be trans requires more work and effort than these fucking frauds posting propaganda. It's fucking amazing to see how quickly they will change up. But hey, I'll tell you one thing that the MAGA pedo party never misses an opportunity to is to dress up as a woman. They never miss an opportunity. And had them play soccer while she filmed them in order to mock trans women. Men started showing up to Dennis's games and posting footage of her on social media, and Dennis told the court that she feared for her safety. All of a sudden, I just felt like there were 1,000 eyes on me, and that every move that I made was going to be scrutinized, Dennis later said, noting that she wasn't able to get a spot in the same league the next season. Dennis believes she was that was because of all the attention on her. It's incredible to do this in a state like a country like Australia, which has much more, let's say, lenient libel and slander laws. Like this kind of stuff, this kind of terrorism you can get away with in America. Look at Chaya Raichik running the pedophile libs a TikTok account, right? They can get away with that shit here, but to do this in Australia is super fucking stupid. Also, it's just mean girls bullying shit. Like, this fascination with trans people just shows how fucking weak these people are to go after someone who is already a persecuted, and they're a minority. They're like a tiny fraction of a smaller fraction of a minuscule fraction of the population. And these fucking weirdos think it's an own to dress up like a woman impersonating them. You guys just tell on yourselves. But it's also why Republican pedo states are the ones that have the biggest searches for trans porn. It's pure self-hatred. So Ross Douthat, for some of you who don't know, he was a big Iraq war supporter and a complete fucking inbred stupid-ass motherfucking walrus of a human being. He's now leaving the New York Times. So this caught my attention. There are enough youngins on here who came of age after the blogging era and thus don't even know about Ross Douthat and Chunky Reese Witherspoon. Behold! So I don't know what I'm... Guys, we're gonna see what this is together because I have no idea what I'm in for here. One time, Ross Douthat wrote a book called Privilege, and part of it was about this one chick who got the privilege of trying to do nakeds with him. One successful foray ended on the guest bed of a high school friend's parents with a girl who resembled a chunkier Reese Witherspoon, drunkenly masticating my neck and cheeks. It had taken some time to reach this point. Do most Harvard guys take so long to get what they want? She had asked, pushing her tongue into my mouth. I wasn't sure what to say, but then I wasn't sure this was what I wanted. My throat was dry from too much vodka, and her breasts spilling out of pink pajamas threatened my ability to. What? So dude sees titties and goes soft? Bro, just admit you're in the closet. I was supposed to be excited, but I was bored and somewhat disgusted with myself, with her, with the whole business. And then whatever residual enthusiasm I felt for the venture dissipated with shocking speed as she nibbled at my ear and whispered, you know, I'm on the pill. So bro literally learned, he gets titties in his face. He learns that he could raw dog her and bust a nut and not worry about getting her preggers. And he's soft? I'm telling you, all of this all of this homophobia, all this transphobia is just pure internalized hate. Because all these guys are so fucking deep in the closet, they found the portal to Narnia. I'm telling you. That's 100% what happened with this guy, with Ross Douthat. Chunky Reese Witherspoon masticated Ross on the neckbeard. But he was like, I don't know, like maybe, but I can't get a boner right now because I can see your boobies. Ew, gross. And she sealed the deal of not doing nakeds to Ross Douthat when she said she is on birth control like a Chunky Reese Witherspoon, who is also a giant slut. One response I'm seeing to this quite frequently is that Ross Douthat's horror at the body of a hot woman on the pill is indicative of his sexuality. He's either gay or ace. What does ace mean? And I just like to point out that lots of straight guys hate women in their bodies, especially if they're incredibly repressed. Is that... A lot of straight guys hate women in their body. Well, I know that straight guys hate women, right? The whole incel movement, but they love the female body. That's why they're always whacking it, you know, outside of fucking yoga studios. Especially if they're incredibly repressed. I'm not sure where this comes from. I'd want to hear more about that. And that this horror at the physical form of another human almost certainly plays a part in driving people like Douthat into adult conversion to Catholicism, because Catholicism has such a strongly dialectical relationship to the body. I don't know. So then Golden Gate Blonde says, look, I had to read this so you do too. Well, now we know. Now we know. Now we know what. Wow, that is fucking weird. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. This is just some weird. Republicans are just weird. Okay, so now I also found this. I'm going into this blind, so let's see what this is.
Hey, so the government won't let me live in this treehouse that I spent the last 4 years building, and the reason is incredibly stupid. As we already established, the county said I could build a treehouse, and the county seats changed, and the new guy said, hey, no, never mind, you need a permit for that, and that turned into like a 1.5-year battle, and they didn't want to give us a permit, and when they finally did give us a permit, they said, okay, fine, you can build it, but you need to make it bigger, up to 1,200 square feet, to meet our minimum size requirements, you know, so we can tax you more. So we got the permit, and now there's a new problem. Now they say that my parents cannot build a house on the same property, which is over 100 acres, by the way, because now the treehouse is the primary residence, so we can't do another house. So we meet with the county again, and we're like, hey, so the treehouse is still only 750 square feet. We have not made it bigger, which means it meets your size requirements for an accessory structure, so we should still be able to build a main house over there. Nope. That's impossible. Why is that impossible? Well, because our ordinance strictly prohibits building the accessory structure before the main house, because then people just never build the main house.
Okay, so I can kind of see where I think this is going, and we'll see if I'm wrong here, but like, this is one of those examples of where regulation gets really, 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 really stupid. There are good cause for regulations. I mean, look at how many look at the Lineage fire here in LA. That place cut a bunch of safety regulations, and they didn't have the necessary fire equipment either. So lo and behold, a massive fucking disaster occurred. But stuff like this needs to just be re-looked at, especially when we're facing a fucking housing crisis. Like, this dude is not only trying to build a treehouse for himself, also trying to build a house for his family on his own property. Like, again, if he is comporting with basic safety requirements, right? making sure the structure is sound, it's not going to fall down. You know, there's a sleeping habit. Make sure there's not easy fire from your fucking gas tank isn't going to blow. Like, basic things like that. But, like, this kind of bullshit about, like, it needs to be this specific size, and also you can't have 2 houses on the same property. Fuck that!
Yeah, but we're actually trying to build the main house, like right now. We're trying to build it, but you're saying no. So we go in circles and circles, and they're just like, sorry, it's impossible. You cannot build another house on the property. So my dad's like, well, can we just apply for a variance? And he's like, yeah, you can, but they'll definitely deny it. And then I found a loophole. I said to him, why don't we just divide the property on paper, draw an invisible line down the middle, and then my parents can pull a permit for this property, build their main house, and when they finish, we can reassemble the properties, and the treehouse becomes an accessory structure to the main house. Well, yeah, I guess that could work, but you can't get a certificate of occupancy for your treehouse until your parents' house is finished, which means I can't live in it because in 2026.
Yeah, see, again, this is just Jesus Christ. Look, I'm sure there's a lot of history and context behind some of this stuff that's being left out, but the simple fact is that, like, these regulations are not meeting the times anymore. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if these kind of regulations weren't from, like, the 1850s or the early 1900s, right? Which simply do not meet the reality of where we are now, needing housing for fucking people. Also, at the end of the day, it's a giant property. It's 100 fucking acres. That's pretty goddamn big. What's the problem of having 2 houses on the same property? You're still going to tax the fucking thing. What it all probably comes down to is just some fucking bean counter in City Hall is like, yeah, but there's 2 buildings. I don't know how to compute it with the tax thing, so we're just going to tell them no. I cannot tell you how many times in government bureaucracy that's what it comes down to. So many times it's like, hey, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to build a home. Okay, great. How do you want to do it? I want to do it like this. Okay, that doesn't comport with my algorithm and my fucking calculated spreadsheet, so therefore no. Are we not in a fucking housing crisis? Yes, we are, but I don't care. You can't build a house. This is the kind of shit that gives regulations a bad name.
You need the government's permission to live in a house that you built. So we had to pay surveyors thousands of dollars to draw invisible lines across the property so that my parents can build on the exact same property. And then when they finish, we will pay them thousands more dollars to erase the invisible lines and put the properties back together. Otherwise, I have to nearly double the size of the treehouse.
And again, this is like this shit. It comes out of his pocket. It's so much fucking money, and it's stupid. You have to wonder if it's not just fucking, I mean, we know it's fucking rigged, but is it intentionally rigged to just be a market for these surveyors, for these house builders, and just, you know, like the same way that, like, they make it hard to file stuff with the courthouses here in LA because they want to funnel you to a fucking lawyer. It's the lawyer industrial complex. So now we've got the fucking property surveyors industrial complex. I don't fucking know, but you have to wonder.
In summary, I can't live in the treehouse because it's an illegal structure and it's not big enough. But if I make it bigger, then it's okay. But also now it's too big, so now my parents can't build a house over here. But if I draw an invisible line here, then they can build a house over here. But I still have to make the treehouse bigger. Unless I erase the invisible line after my parents' house is done, then the treehouse is okay. But I still can't live in it until my parents' house is done because you can't build the accessory structure first, according to the city ordinance, even though it's already done. So I guess my wife and I will just keep living in this leaky, mold-infested camper. And what makes this even more interesting is that they tried to jack up the property tax bill this year because they claimed the treehouse was done and that we were living in it. But we also don't have a CO and we're not allowed to live in it. So which is it? Make it make sense. I'll pay the freaking increased property tax if I can just live in my stupid house. The comments are going to say, bro, just live in it anyway. How will they know? All that being said, my hope is that when my parents actually break ground, which should be in the next couple of months, I can convince them to give me the CO and I can actually move in. I feel like that's a perfectly reasonable request. We're not trying to cheat the system. We're not trying to work around the rules. We've got a main house and an accessory house. That's all we're trying to do here. But they're making us go run around in circles and waste a ton of money on invisible lines. Anyway, stay tuned to see how this story develops.
And I mean, this is not like, and again, this shit would never happen for like a big contractor that has ties to City Hall, right? It'd just be done, build your shit, right? And those big contractors frequently operate in bad faith because they're frequently cheating the system, getting tax bailouts that they shouldn't. They're frequently skirting, you know, actual regulations that they shouldn't be, again, like safety regulations. They're frequently busting unions, trying to work a living wage. So this is just some dude. Look, he's living out of his fucking trailer. This is not some dude with a shitload of money that's acting with nefarious purpose. He's just a dude trying to build a house and then also have his parents live nearby. This is such a stupid fucking thing, and it is exactly what Republicans use when we're trying to badmouth regulation, and who can fucking blame them? Look at what the dude had to go through. This is the kind of stupid shit that if anybody was worth their salt in City Hall, they would just fucking abolish it. But we have stupid people in the government. Fun video of an infuriating issue, both this guy's situation and the broader usurpation of property rights. How normal, well-adjusted people become libertarians. I don't know if that would make me libertarian, but, you know, to each their own. All right, let's see if this stuff will work. Let me see. Been having a lot of problems with the YouTube player recently. I don't know why. Could you imagine? Like, they're just trying to, like, play lightsabers and shoot Roman candles at each other, and then Darth fucking Vader just aura farms through your LARP brigade? Oh, man. Oh, no! Princess Leia's down! I will help you, Princess Leia! I'm a good Jedi! I'll help you! Help us! Help me! I'll help you! Oh, fuck me! Oh, I fucking love the internet sometimes, man. So this is really cool. This is a great white shark. I don't even know how to describe it. Just watch.
This shark is huge!
So this was a 20-foot white that they got. Cleopatra. I think this is off of...
Outside, we have a female Cleopatra. She's absolutely magnificent.
Doesn't say where it is. But basically...
Cleopatra weighs more than 2 tons.
Yeah, so she's 2 tons. She's got to be damn near
She's the
20 or
largest
over.
great white shark in the kingdom.
So they built...
And she does not appreciate invaders.
They built a dummy great white shark that also has a cage for the guy.
Hold on.
How did this is so, this has got to be staged. Like the rope snapping like that should have never fucking happened. Like that's incredibly dangerous to be trapped in that cage and then sink, and God knows how deep it goes. Also, like, didn't we see a movie about this? 47 meters down. It's 47 meters down. That's what we're seeing.
Inflate the valve. Inflate the valve. Tell Tristan to inflate.
Turn the valve on, Tristan.
So they're turning him to, yeah. So the valve is probably the ballast that'll pull it back up to the surface. That's really fucking cool to see. Also terrifying. I could never do something like that. That's insane. That's fucking insane to see. I think this one is glitched too. I love this. Aura farming seal. Poor thing. He's all just sitting here like, yeah, ladies, you see me? You see, what the fuck are you? He's like looking at that other seal on the thing. He's like, yeah, you like what you see? You like what you see? I know you do, girl. I know you. Oh my God. Oh, classic. Also, could you imagine? Oh man, absolutely played. Just fucking play. Oh, he's stunting. No, come on. This is a bit, right? Yeah, it's a bit. Okay. Yeah, okay. I thought it was real because I didn't see the whole thing. I didn't see the whole thing. I saw just that intro, so I thought it was real, but it's obviously a bit. That's pretty funny. All right, that's it for me. I got to get going. I got shit to do.